Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I will try to speak about accessibility today to you, and I see it is really the last minute for me to do it because nobody in this session in this room, C1, from the beginning of this Congress, said this word at all. My name is Batusic, and I work for Fabasoft as accessibility coordinator, making plans to make all Fabasoft products accessible totally for all disabled people. We are very good on the way. The main products are now accessible, and we proceed. So what about my speech today? What is impairment and what is disability? I will speak shortly about it, about human rights, how people with disabilities work with IT, with ICT, and about EuroCloud accessibility, what is to do, how to implement design for all, how enabling access for assistive technologies in the cloud. I want to be presumptuous today and will try to represent about a sixth of entire humanity right here in front of you. Yes, you hear me correctly. 1 billion people worldwide are classed as having a disability. 80% of us live in developing countries. And here's some more statistics. Approximately 90 million out of 507 million of inhabitants of the 28 countries in the European Union have some form and degree of disability. This number also includes the aging population with initial or increasing forms of impairment or chronic disease with disability effects. So what does disability mean at all? The easiest way for me to explain it is to use myself as an example. Okay, I have an impairment. To be more precise, a visual impairment, and strictly speaking, I'm fully blind. But this is only one of my features. Beside my blindness, I have many other features and abilities common with other human beings. And more than that, some of my abilities have become especially developed through my special way of life as a blind person. For example, I can hear the silent objects in front of me or beside me when I walk on the street, such as parking cars, trees, buildings. I can track my known routes solely according to information that I get through my feet. I can deduce personal information also, very often, such as character features, mood, and sometimes intention purely from a person's voice. So, unfortunately, as a person, I'm very often reduced to my one and only, perhaps most obvious feature of being blind. This feature becomes my new nature for society very often, but not because I have this impairment, but rather because this impairment, in combination with environmental barriers, generates limitations to my abilities, hence make me disabled, disability. It is not my blindness that prevents me from getting money from the cashing machine, but the barriers built into the device that only provides visual feedback. It is not my blindness preventing me from, for example, taking a lift without speech output or braille labels for the command panel. The barriers within websites and web applications exclude me often from the digital society and simultaneously make this society poorer, as it misses out on my abilities and experiences. But I'm very grateful, however, that the situation is improving day by day. 6 years ago, UNO enacted the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which has since been ratified by European Union and all European Union countries and by 155 countries worldwide. The document forbids discrimination due to disability and calls for explicit action for inclusion and against physical and digital discrimination. Javad Abidi, chairperson of Disabled Peoples International, puts it so: depriving persons with disabilities from equal access to essential ICT-based applications and services violates the core dispositions of Article 9 of the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and creates an unsustainable economic and social development gap in our digital age. Let's hear let's hear the wording of this article. It's not very long, but very, very important. This Article 9 has the name accessibility and says to enable persons with disabilities to live independently and participate fully in all aspects of life, states parties shall take appropriate measures to ensure to persons with disabilities access on an equal basis with others to the physical environments, to transportation, to information and communications, including information and communications technologies and systems, and to other facilities and services open or provided to the public, both in urban and rural areas. And so on. It's not completely, but the most sense is in this wording. And further stakeholders in this struggle against the accessibility barriers are governments. More and more countries have anti-discrimination laws in the digital area. USA and Canada regulate already the procurement of ICT products and services in the public sector according to accessibility criteria, and the European Union also introduced Mandate M376, instructing 3 European standardization organizations, SENS, SENELEC and ETSI, to define EN standard, and the standard name and first draft is ready. The name is European Accessibility Requirements for public procurement of products and services in the ICT domain. Soon, companies active in e-government or the public sector will not be able to afford to ignore accessibility in their products. I'm happy for that. To facilitate, and in many cases, to make possible building accessible websites and web applications, the Web Accessibility Initiative of the W3 Consortium endorsed and published technical standards and guidelines, such as, for example, Web Content Accessibility Guidelines and Accessible Rich Internet Applications, ARIA. And now you can see some examples of how people with different disabilities can use ICT. This is very, very big difference. I'm, for example, blind. I can't see any graphics, any pictures, and I need alternative text for that, and I need assistive technology with the name screen reading software or screen reader that can present the content of the viewport to me so that I can hear it or I can use it by a refreshable braille display like here. The other person can have, for example, low vision, and you have to make your product so that the very good contrast is possible, color contrast, then that the person is able to increase the font to 200% without destroying the picture or without horizontal scrolling. If somebody can't hear, then you have to offer in the multimedia so-called titling, so-called captioning, for the people that can read the text of the speech of or audio tracks. And the people that can't use their hands properly or have some problems with tremor and so need enough big areas of sensitive areas to click or tap, and these areas should also be distinct enough from each other and so on. So you see, it is possible for people with disabilities to work with ICT, but the products shall enable this access. What about accessibility in the cloud? It is generally accepted that the cloud is the future of computing. A cloud can include any number of hardware which is controlled in the cloud, and any kind of software also which is controlled in the cloud, offering ubiquitous services. Every hardware device and every software service, software as a service, better to say, equipped with a user interface, can constitute a barrier for a specific group of people with disabilities. And we come to the solution how to make it. There are two magic words. The first is design for all. At the top level, the solution for cloud application, for EuroCloud as well, is quite simple. Each piece of hardware with a user interface, and every software as a service needs to fulfill just these two not so small, but just the two requirements. The first, the product follows design for all recommendations, achieving the highest possible degree of usability for all people through inbuilt features. If it's not really possible for a product to do it, because it is, this approach would be, for example, too complicated, or it is maybe too expensive, then the other feature is to enable. The product should be accomplished by offering standardized interfaces for immediate communication with so-called assistive technologies. Assistive technologies, for example, my braille display or screen reader, screen magnification software, speech input, and so on. So EuroCloud accessibility actions, we from the Fabasoft started to facilitate the action of making EuroCloud services accessible. We started together with EuroCloud Austria, a project with the name Guidelines for Cloud Accessibility. We plan to publish this short handbook by the end of the year. The first edition will be in English and German language, and I would very much appreciate your financial and direct support by translating the document into other European cloud languages and distributing it to all interested members. Another necessary action would be to integrate accessibility requirements and guidelines in all EuroCloud certification processes and quality seals. Cloud providers should clearly state their decision to provide an accessible cloud and should implement this decision from the very highest managerial boards of the company down to all employees. The result will be unprecedented awareness and increasingly accessible cloud services that can be certified and included in offerings and contracts. Accessibility is a global product feature that should be, I think, included in quality assurance processes at least as much as security or general availability. Because I'm not an economic expert, you are free to make your own considerations about return of investment and giant business assets by increasing the number of potential customers solely in Europe by 90 millions and by 1 million worldwide. Thank you very much.
So, thank you very much, Mario, to draw our attention on this particular matter. So, thank you very much. Maybe we could take just one question because it's 1 p.m. So I have to.
But I'm happy that the smell of the good lunch is not yet here because it would destroy all attention.
Is there a question for Mario? 1, 2, 3, no question. So yes, okay. One question. So introduce yourself, sir.
Mario, my name is Phil Wainwright, Vice President of EuroCloud. I'm from EuroCloud UK. I'm wondering, everyone talks these days about the importance of putting our cloud applications and websites onto mobile formats. And I'm wondering, after your presentation, does that make the accessibility of the web even tougher for people who cannot see like yourself, because of all the focus then being on visualization in such that kind of form factor?
That's really not only the problem of visualization. You know, I can't see, and I haven't to make this video. That's not said that mobile devices are not important, or maybe not more important for the persons with disabilities, but sincerely said, mobile applications are automatically better accessible on iPhone, on iPad and so on, because of implemented built-in accessibility tools and awareness of this made by Apple, for example. I don't speak about Google here, okay? So.
Okay, so thank you. So.